the problem with our society, as people have explained ad nauseum, is that we've become even more tribalistic than we normally have been. Well, you get left-wing talking points and you get right-wing talking points. And I always remember we had journalist Ed West on our show, and he made a very profound point about the importance of freedom of speech. And he said freedom of speech is so important because unless you're willing to talk about every facet of the problem, you are never going to solve that problem. And you can talk about an issue in a left-wing way or a right-wing way, and do you know what? Both sides probably, in fact, a lot of the time, have good points. But if you're just in one tribe, then you're only going to see the problem from a certain point of view, which means you're never going to be honest about the problem, hence you're never going to solve it. And when we talk about things such as inequality, the way the left talks about it and the way the right talks about it, they're both correct. But unless you are willing to go, right, I'm going to look at this side, I'm going to look at this side, and then I make up my own mind, that's the only way we're actually going to solve problems, not by being tribalistic. It's why I reject, now I reject when people say to me, are you left, are you right, are you conservative, or whatever else, because all you're doing when you identify with a tribe is you're downloading their way of looking at the world, let's call it an operating system. Now, the operating system might have some strengths to it, but it also has some weaknesses. And what you're doing when you're downloading the operating system is you're giving up your autonomy. You're saying that I'm no longer an individual, I'm just going to be a non-thinking member of this tribe. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a non-thinking member of the right, and I don't want to be a non-thinking member of the left. I want to be someone who makes their own mind up about any particular issue, whatever it is. I remember when Andrew Tate rose to infamy or prominence, whatever you want to call it. And I remember people going to me, well, what do you think about it? And I said, I don't know. I'm going to go away and I'm going to watch and I'm going to listen to his interviews and I'm going to make my own mind up. But he's this, he's that. And I'm like, no, I don't, your opinion is your opinion. You're entitled to it. I don't care about it. I'm going to make my own mind up. And then I went and and he's a legend. No, I'm joking. He's not. I really dislike him and I dislike his message and I think it's incredibly toxic. But I made my own mind up about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I do with every subject. It's why with the whole Israel-Palestine, everybody's wading in with their opinions. I am someone who has got South American heritage, mother's Venezuelan, but my maternal grandfather is from Lebanon. So he's Coptic Christian and he's from Tripoli, and he was from Tripoli in Lebanon, and that's where my family was from. Their name was Vasili Saud. So I know a little bit about the history and I know a little bit about the feelings and the resentments on both sides and how deep they go. And I haven't offered an opinion about it because I don't know enough about it. I know a little bit, but I don't know enough to offer an opinion. I don't know enough to actually make a public stance on it because these things take time. You need to read about the history. You need to understand about it. You need to understand the culture. You need to understand about the religions, how the religions have seen this place. You need to understand about the military conflict. It's only when you've read all through that and you understand it and you come to a position, that's when you can start talking about it publicly.
I think it's interesting that, when you said that about Andrew Tate, if you hadn't clarified you were joking, my mind's already going, okay, 10% of the audience have just now switched off.
Yeah.
And isn't that crazy? Rather than
you've got a new 20% of an audience.
Yeah, I don't want those guys.